Assume if they're wrestling people, they're all bad, Todd. How about that?
That's what I do.
That's an easy way to go through life.
I agree.
So how's things going for you as we're getting ready to record After Dark here? Obviously we're all in our post Madam Web haze, if you will.
Right. Yes. Euphoria, post Madam Web euphoria.
How many times have you seen it since?
I've rewatched it in my mind countlessly, but I haven't gone back and sat down and paid for a ticket to watch it again. Mm-hmm. You?
Well, I haven't watched the whole thing, but apparently it's available out there.
Yep. Madam Web 24/7, maybe.
Right. So it's somewhere just 24/7. So every once in a while, I just pop in to see where it is.
Right.
To see if it's like on a great scene. It's kind of like taking your favorite record and dropping the needle anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And just enjoying what you see.
Yeah, well, I just want to enjoy you enjoying Madam Web, Joe. That's my goal in life.
If only I knew like that existed before we recorded the Patreon show this past week.
Yeah, my life would be different.
We could have timed it and did a live watch along.
Oh, you know what? Too bad,
Yeah.
A la Fantastic Four, and then we could have did some Japanese ocean spray.
Right. Oh, no Pepsi though, sadly.
All the Pepsis I have here, Joe.
Yeah.
But otherwise, nothing much has been going on with me. Update on AC/DC. I know I forgot to mention it last week. They did mention a tour, announce a tour, but so far the first leg is all European dates. So we might they have dates in Europe all the way up to August. So they may, I don't know. We will get an American tour, but whether or not, because they'll only do stadiums now. They don't do small venues. So it's will they do the Meadowlands in September, October? That would be the cutoff. You know what I mean? Because then you start getting cold unless they do the Vegas or anything that's inside. So as soon as I know more about that, I'll let you know. But they also announced that because this is their 50th anniversary, which blows my mind that they're old as I am, that they're re-releasing all their albums on vinyl.
Oh.
With the special 50th anniversary. Josh is I know you're not a vinyl guy, but you're an AC/DC guy. I'm yeah, probably not going to pick up the vinyls. But I don't know if they're remastered or what, but they're the 50th anniversary versions. But I was oh, okay, I see we're going to get a wave of merchandise probably for the 50th anniversary.
Sure.
But I'm all for it, so
what's the limit on how far you're willing to travel to go see them if they do a U.S. tour?
I would not doubt that they do a Philly/New York show.
Okay.
Most likely New York, most likely the Meadowlands. That would be in a heartbeat without blinking. But after that, you never know. Who knows how far I would go. Because I do think at the 50th anniversary, the bassist just left. So it's only Angus and Brian Johnson now. And Brian, I think we talked about this, is 70-some. At 50th, I think this is a good goodbye tour. They won't call it that. They'll just do it and then go away. But I want to see them because I think this is literally my last time to do it. But I'd travel. I would travel. Chicago, maybe. I don't know. Go see the real fans of people in Chicago.
Yeah, I assume whatever the Meadowlands is, MetLife Stadium.
I think it is now. I'm not sure. I only know that as the Meadowlands,
And whatever the big one in Philly is, where WrestleMania is this year,
Right, I call it the Vet. It's like Lincoln Financial because they call it the Link, I think.
Yeah, it's. I don't know, everything in Philly is either the Spectrum or the Vet to me. So whatever they call it is whatever they call it. But I figured, those are two good options. But look at them being hoity-toity. We only do stadiums now. Excuse me. Well,
because they can pack them in, Joe. What are you going to do? I mean, I would love to see them in a small venue, but it's never going to happen.
Yeah, they're going to play Tinks.
Oh, my God, if Tinks was still open.
They've been working on whatever Tinks was for like the last like 6 years. It's not
right. I mean, there's like wood out into the street now for Tinks.
It's just an ongoing.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say it's an ongoing construction project, is what it is.
Yeah, I saw a few good concerts at Tinks.
Yeah, me too.
My biggest regret involves not going to Tinks one night.
Okay.
A big Warren Zevon fan, right? So and this was when, the shop was on Linden Street.
Oh my goodness.
Right, yeah. So I'm down there hanging out, and I'm there, and I'm like, Warren Zevon's up the road. And this is how lazy I was.
Okay. Now, bear in mind, when Todd says up the road,
half a block.
It's a block. Not even.
Right.
He has to cross a street and pass 2 buildings.
Right. So Warren is playing there. I'm a big fan. And I'm like, I got nobody to go with. I don't want to go to a concert alone. So this was when we smoked. Me and the retailer were outside smoking. And we're like, something's going on up at Tinks. And we talked, and we both went home. And then the next time we saw each other, it was like, that was Warren Zevon up the road. Yeah, I'm a big fan. I didn't have anybody to go with. Well, I didn't have anybody to go with. So we didn't go see Warren Zevon half a block up the road. Probably for like $12 too at the time. And biggest regret I have, I never saw him play in my lifetime. And then he passed away, sadly.
Luckily, the person, the big name act that I saw at Tinks has not passed away, still kicking alive to this day. And that would be Vanilla Ice.
Did you really see Vanilla Ice there?
I did.
Oh, was that before? Did he have all his hit that night, or?
He had not been publicly outed as a juggalo yet.
Oh, I didn't know he was a juggalo. That's news to me.
He's a big juggalo, sure.
Mm-hmm,
this had to be 97, 98 maybe.
Okay.
Late 97, early 98. I probably have the ticket stub around here somewhere if I go digging for it. But at the job that I was at, a girl, and it was a situation where she was like, I want to go see Vanilla Ice, but I don't want to go by myself. And I'm like, let's go. We're going to see Vanilla Ice, right? Jesus Nobody wanted to go with her. And, everyone was there to hear him play Ice Ice Baby. And he's like, I'm playing the whole album, and then you're going to wait, and I'm going to play Ice Ice Baby at the end. And
right, of course.
Exactly what happened. And I knew, because, it's local and everything else like that, I knew, 2 or 3 of the bartenders.
Right.
And I would get heavy pours on drinks, or I would get a drink, and I would just get I'd pay, they'd give me my drink, and they would put my money back on the counter and put my drink on top of the money and give me my money back, sort of thing.
Like the old pretending to go get change and come back with the same amount of money.
Right. And it wasn't like I was looking for it. It's like, I know Frank's working tonight, so let's go, fleece Frank. It's not coming out of his pocket, right?
Right. That's why it just closed. But anyway.
It would just be like, this is one of those nights, and it was a younger man in those days. It had to be 98, because I was going to say it had to be 98 because I wouldn't have been 21. I wouldn't have been allowed in. I wouldn't have been drinking. So, yeah.
And you'd never sneak into a bar underage.
No, absolutely not. So this is the thing. I forget how it came up, but I'm the good one. I was the good one, whether it be we're comparing me to my other 3 brothers or we're comparing me to my wife.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the good one.
Holy shit.
What?
Holy shit, you're the good one?
Yes, I'm the good one. So I never smoked in my entire life. You talk about smoking, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've done drugs less than 5 times in my entire life.
Right, but they were all black tar heroin.
No, they were all within the same 6-month period, and one of them was mushrooms.
Oh my goodness, I would love to see you on shrooms.
I not told this story on here before? If I have, it's been a while, so I'm going to tell it again, right?
Let's just say this. I have never heard a story about you on shrooms, Joe.
Okay. So, a friend of mine, not going to incriminate anyone, former person who had a show on the soon-to-be-named network.
Okay. That narrows.
I went to go see him at college. This would have been 1999. And that was the first time that I ever smoked weed, and that was like whatever, right?
Right.
He came in to visit that summer, and I did it again, and it just like I had no effect, like nothing happened, right? So then he was in for like Christmas break into New Year's, and he's like, "Hey, we're gonna get together, we're gonna do mushrooms, right?"
Mm-hmm.
So he got it, and like he put it in like a tasty cake coffee cake.
Okay.
For each of us, me, him, and someone else. Again, I'm not naming, the statute of limitations is up. It's been 25 years, but I don't want to incriminate anyone,
Right, because they might have they don't want to taint their, reputation.
So we had no idea what to do. It's New Year's Eve, and it's also on the eve of Y2K. So there's like that hysteria that's going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we drive from where he lived, which wasn't that far, waiting for everything to kick in, to downtown Scranton. And we walk around the square, and then we drive over to the Steamtown Mall, and we go to the arcade at the Steamtown Mall. And like the arcade basketball gimmick?
Yeah.
Where like the rim will move back and forth on you as you're doing it?
Right. Well, you were in sync with it this time.
Okay, so either I was in sync with it, or because of the mushrooms, I thought I was in sync with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, okay, we're done here. What do you want to do? We're like, well, let's just like go right down the line. Let's go to the bowling alley.
Right.
And it's the weekend. It's New Year's Eve. What's going on at the bowling alley, Todd?
Rock and Bowl?
Cosmic Bowl.
Right.
So we walk in, the three of us.
Right.
And it's the lights and the glow, and all three of us just freeze. We're like, what's going on? We're like, we need to get out of here now. Okay?
Right. They know.
Well, it's not that they know. It was
I
one
know.
of those
That's
things that's like, this isn't right.
Mm-hmm.
So we then decide we need to get something to eat or drink. Like we could have got something there at the bowling alley, but we weren't thinking. So we get back into my car, and it's starting to rain. So we're like, all right, we're going to drive to a convenient mart and get something to eat, right? Get something to drink. And as it's raining, and I'm using my wiper to wipe away the windshield, I definitely should not have been driving a car in this state.
Really?
Okay.
Shocking.
So we go to the convenient mart, we get something to eat, we go back to his parents' place, and we ended up watching, it was a Friday night, it was, December 31st, whatever. Infancy days of the internet, so we knew, like, Y2K had not killed us all, so we just settled in with, like, junk food from a convenience store, a bunch of, like, iced teas and stuff, and we watched the episode of ECW on TNN that was on that night.
Oh, good. I'm glad that's the way you rang in the new century.
And I'll say that, well, it was like whatever time it was on, but like the opening credits of the show is usually, it's like maybe like 60 seconds, like a minute long. Mm-hmm. It felt like it was like 4 hours long.
That's the way it is for me when I watch wrestling.
Right. And then there was a match, and again, it's one of those things I always remember. They showed like an old match of RVD versus Spike Dudley, and they showed a match of Masato Tanaka versus Mike Awesome, and that's kind of like where I started to come down from whatever high I was on. And again, so we're ending all the way back around to things like I was the good one. So I didn't do any illicit drugs until I was like well into my early 20s. I didn't drink until I was 21. I never smoked anything like that. So like there was never a thought of like, oh, I'm going to sneak into a bar to get drunk as like a teenager, or I'm going to pay the guy who's going to like mark up some beer and we're going to go meet him in the woods. Maybe he'll show up. Maybe he won't. Maybe the cops will show up and a bunch of like strangers meeting in the middle of the woods to drink like a shitty like thing of Coors, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, and I would hear my brothers talking about this sort of stuff and like what they were going through to have to drink underage. And I'm just like, just wait. Is drinking that big of a deal that you have to?
Yes, it was a rite of goddamn passage, Joe.
I guess.
I'll say this. I smoked in my teens into high school. In 91 is when I graduated. So 89, 90, 91, I was smoking. I don't remember when I started. So I did that, and I smoked till 2006, and I can pinpoint the week because I know the cover of 52, the weekly comic that I quit smoking. Because Wednesday nights, I would get my new books. I would get my books. I would go get a pizza. I would come home. I would eat the pizza and read the comic books, try not to get grease all over the covers. And then I would have a smoke to finish it off. And that was when I decided to quit smoking. And I read 52, the weekly series. I smoked my last cigarette, and I never had one again. So
there was no impetus for this decision. You're just like, this issue of 52 was so good.
What were you saying? I'm sorry?
This issue of 52 was so good, I have no choice but to stop.
Yes, that's what it was. If you want the truth and bring it down, someone recently had passed away from cancer. So
gotcha.
It was I'm quitting now kind of a deal. You know what I mean? So it happened, and I did that. But underage drinking, I think we've discussed this before. I had my first drink when I was a kid with my father, Miller High Life, the champagne of beers. Didn't really drink a lot. Like my father give me like a sip of his highball or whatever we had. And then when I was in my teenage years, I drank underage at beer parties, at houses, sneaking into bars, local bar here in Oliphant, the Carriage Inn, no longer the Carriage Inn, rest in peace. It was the underage bar. You'd go in, and I forget what the guy's name was that ran it. I used to know because we all knew him. And we go in, he was an older guy. And you'd walk in and he'd be like, what do you want? Blah, 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 blah. And then some nights he'd go, they gave the call, everybody out. What he meant was somebody from the liquor control board, they were doing stings, and somebody would tip them off. And he'd shake all the kids out. He'd get out, come back tomorrow. Come back, but tonight they're around, and they might come in. I don't know. And we would do that, and we'd come back the next night and be like, they're still going around, leave. And then the heat would be off for a month or two, and we drink every Saturday night. Now, I was 18 drinking in that bar every Friday and Saturday night. He did not care. It was like Mo with the pandas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like everybody out. And then, so I drank quite a bit. And then there was nights, and at Hiles, where we knew that's where we drank.
I remember Hiles.
Oh, Hiles. And I ended up getting to know, and we all did, all of the bartenders. And I had money in my pocket. I was living at home, had a well-paying job, just tipped, like going out of business, like make sure you tip them. And they would heavy pour us. If there was a slow night, they'd be like, you know what? I need to practice my shot making. Who wants a Swedish fish? I'll have one. Here you go. Boom, boom, boom. Here's a chocolate cupcake, whatever. We would just drink shots while they poured all night because it wasn't coming out of their pocket, like you said. When we were sober, we'd be like, anybody want anything? We're going to get milkshake. Like, we'd come back and we'd get whatever the bartenders wanted. We didn't care. It was like, I'm going to pay $9 for 3 milkshakes, and I'm not going to buy a drink tonight.
Yeah.
And then other times I'd be smoking, and the bartender would be like, give me a smoke. I'd be like, all right, let me open a pack. I'd roll it across the bar. She'd take it, and I'd turn away, and I'd look back, and there'd be a shot on the bar because I gave her a cigarette. Be like, can I have another cigarette? Here you go. And there'd be a shot. And this would go on all night. I'd be like, here, have the smoke. I don't want any more whiskey. I remember, and this is bad, I don't drink and drive anymore. I remember that night waking up across the street from my house where I parked the car, because there's no houses on the other side. There's just like woods. Parked there. I had a Camaro with T-tops. And I woke up in the Camaro with my head facing up because I had it laying on the cushion of the thing. And I was looking out through the T-top because they were open. And all I saw was sky. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know I was in my Camaro. I remember crawling across the street and crawling up the steps and going to bed. And I was like, I need to dial it back. Look, I'm going to die. And I do remember hopping a curb that night.
Oh, my goodness.
My car.
Like I said, there was the time that I was on the mushrooms. I never drove drunk. I always had like somebody else with me, or at the very least, I was way less drunk than they were. Like I still, whatever. Like I definitely, if I got pulled over, I would have gotten, but I was like feeling okay. But yeah, like I got like my wild stuff out of me, and like by the time like. I think the last one, like the last crazy drinking night that I had, and again, everything comes back to wrestling with me. I know you love it. Mm-hmm. We went to a show, had to be 2003. It was supposed to originally be in Maryland, and they ended up moving it to like the ballroom at a hotel. And like right in the ballroom and right next to the ballroom was a bar. Mm-hmm. And I missed like the last two matches because I got so drunk. I'm like, I just need to leave. And I just went to the car and I passed out. And I don't remember, like I missed the last two matches of the show. I don't remember how we got home. Like we were there with April and a bunch of other people. But that was like probably the last time that I got like crazy ass drunk. Mm-hmm. The closest I think was maybe one of the early Who versus Woos that we did.
Oh, I remember it because it was the second Doctor, and you didn't even see what was going on.
Yeah,
you were on precious root beers. And
no. This was I had my giant tumbler that I have, right, and I just poured like way too much booze in there, and I didn't realize how much I poured in. Mm-hmm. And I drank what I drank, but like I was home, I was doing a podcast, but I was fucked up.
Yes, you were. Yeah. And you were fucked up when you watched it because you didn't remember anything from it too. Yeah. And I'll say this, that was the closest I ever came to ending this podcast. I felt so disrespected against Doctor Who.
Against Doctor Who.
Joe. What?
I was going to say, against Doctor Who. That's not even a real person.
Right. But I do have one. You know how you said you were the good one?
Yeah.
My brother, he was a rabble rouser too. But my mother knew it with him. With me, I was the angel. Like, if you can believe that, I could do no wrong, Joe. Like, if we were sitting in the room, like, and my mother couldn't see us, I would slap my leg as hard as I could so you could hear it. And then go, Larry! And my mother would be like, why are you hitting your brother, Larry? Stop hitting Todd. And I'd be like, he got the mark on my leg. And he'd be like, he did it. She would not believe it. I could do no wrong, right? So my brother moved out a little bit, and he moves back in, right? And we shared a bedroom. There's only a 2-bedroom house. But when he came back, I refused to let him come back into the bedroom because he was I'm going to be on my own. So he had to sleep in the TV room downstairs because I'm that much of a prick, Joe, right? So I'm in high school, and I get smashed at this party around Christmas. I'm not driving. Smashed, right? I'm eating popcorn balls all night and drinking as much as humanly possible. This is going to end very well, right? So I come home. I crawl up the steps. My mother doesn't see me. I crawl up the steps. I go to sleep in my bed. Now I have my first stereo at the time, and I had speakers on each side of the bed. So in the middle of the night, I wake up, I'm sick, I lean to the left, blah, all over the speakers, right? I go back to sleep, right? Get sick in the middle of the night, lean to the right, puke all over that speaker. My mother wakes up in the morning, comes into the room that I'm sleeping at, freaks out, right? Freaks out, stomps downstairs and goes, Larry, what is wrong with you? He goes, what? What happened? He goes, you were so drunk last night. You went up to Todd's room, puked on each of his speakers, and then came down to your bedroom and passed out. He's like, I didn't even go drinking last night. I come down, I'm walking dead. And I'm like, Larry, why'd you do that, man? My room is disgusting. Like, I'm not taking the fall, man. It was years later that we finally told me, yeah, it was me, Ma. She's like, what? You did that? Yeah. Oh, my little angel, I can't believe it.
I definitely believe that you're a troublemaker and are enough of a sweet talker and schmoozer to get away with it.
I got out of a lot of trouble on the silver-tongued devil that I am, Joe.
Right. I just never got in trouble.
Well, that's because you were the good one that nobody knew.
I was. And where this all comes from is, obviously, I'm going to have a teenager living here soon.
Oh, dear God.
I know. And when he was a baby, I would say, like, when he gets into the shit that you used to get into, April, and he comes home, yeah. I'm just going to look at you. I go, I'm not even going to look at him. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to look at you. And I'm going to be like, how are you going to fix this? This is you. So
these are those April genes right here.
Yeah, I don't, like I said, you hope, you want your kid to live. I don't know what he's going to do. Mm-hmm. But who knows? Like I said, I'm like stumbling and stammering here. This is a perfect spot to wrap up the show. The only last thing that I want to mention is, so April is gone for a work trip, and she'll be back by the time this comes out for everyone who's not a Patreon. And then we'll be leaving. There'll be no After Dark next week. There'll be a main show next week.
Right.
But there'll be no After Dark next week. That's like too much work.
Yeah, I mean, I can't handle it.
Right. But I'm like, let me go to the store. Let me get some stuff, some stuff that like I'll get for me that April won't get or doesn't like to prepare. Like she hates fish. So I went and got like a bunch of fish for myself to make while she's been gone since Saturday. And one of the things that I picked up was a Hungry Man dinner.
Oh my God, they're not the same, but go ahead.
No, they're not, Todd. It was a horrible disappointment.
Yeah, if they're not in the tin with the tin foil on top.
No.
You have to microwave. It's not the same.
No, listen, I don't mind if there's instructions on there that says microwave or oven, I always go oven. I'll wait.
See, I thought they were in the plastic thing so you couldn't. They'd melt.
No, you could. They have them like in like some sort of like UV coated gimmick, right?
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And the brownies smaller.
Oh, it's all smaller. Come on. But with the Hungry Man, I was a cobbler man myself.
No, not me.
The cobbler was just like hot tar when you ate it. It was like a liquid salt thing. I'm not sure.
Yeah. All right. Hopefully this was a good After Dark. I don't know. Todd incriminated himself in a bunch of crimes.
Oh my God. Thank God the statute of limitations is over, boy.
Yeah, it's been over 30 years for some of them, over 25 years for me, so I think we're okay, right?
Right.
All right, everybody, thank you very much for listening. This was After Dark 484. We'll see you in 2 weeks here. Right. Yeah.
You're listening to the soon-to-be-named network, the Lamborghini of podcast networks.